Hello, friends. Welcome to a tradition unlike any other, the GSP. My name is Philip Matthew. I'm your host. And as always, I'm with usually Jim Nance goes and throws to the former Masters champion because he's had, or major winner, like he's had in the announce booth for so many years. In this case, most now Trevor Immelman. In my case, I have a winner of a major too. Easy iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, a gentleman and a scholar, and celebrating his alma mater winning the national championship for a third time, right, in the men's basketball. Uh, First one in a bit for one of the four major sports. His name is Joshua Fine. What's going on, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, Phil. Of course, yeah. Welcome to be back here and great to be a Florida Gator, as they say. And yes, the first national championship since 2007. And I'm so happy to, as an alum now, because I wasn't an alum back then and I wasn't really a Gator fan back then. But first time as an alum to experience a championship. So really, really glad that they came through with that and yeah, of course, the tradition, unlike any other, the Masters, but really the GSP.
Yeah, it's Masters week, so for me, I'll be preoccupied. I've been sort of preoccupied the last couple of days, but uh, yeah, we'll talk about the Masters. We'll talk about Darlington Throwback Weekend, which has been the storyline on NASCAR radio for the lack of participation on the Cup side. And then on the Xfinity side, they actually did a pretty damn good job, the vast majority of teams. Kind of proves a point of when you don't have the big corporate dollars, how you're able to be more creative or actually um, do a better job with it. But that's neither here nor there. I have my thoughts on what they could do with the race, with that throwback idea. That might end up being all around a much better situation. But we'll get into the Darlington Cup race, which saw Dennis Hamlin winning a Carl Edwards Office Depot throwback, which I don't know how many wins it is at Darlington for him, but he broke his tie with Krusty Wallace in the all-time wins list in the process. Buckshot Jones won her Xfinity race. That tells you hell is freezing over when Buckshot Jones is winning. We will spend about 2 minutes on Fish Lips winning the Japanese Grand Prix. Thankfully, I had fallen asleep because I was in a food coma from all the sushi I'd eaten earlier in the afternoon and evening. So I was spared for the most part of watching that debacle. McLaren be doing McLaren things, Ferrari doing Ferrari things, the usual Formula One nonsense. Um, we'll I'll make some picks for the Masters coming up this week. Eldrick will not be there. He already missed the Champions Dinner, so that tells you that for him to miss the Champions Dinner, his injury is pretty bad. You'd think for Eldrick to be able to fly in a private jet and maybe walk a few feet to go to a damn dinner. You have all those old bags that are about to drop dead that showed up that nobody remembers, and then of course like the great ones like Nicholas and Floyd and whatnot. And I mean, hell, Bernhard Longer can barely walk, and he's like 800 years old, and he's playing his last Masters. Like, they gifted him. See, if you want to talk about how great Bernhard Longer is, two-time Masters champion, he's been sponsored by Mercedes for decades. And between them and the Masters, they made a custom Mercedes for Bernhard Langer in like Masters green with a white upholstery, bright white upholstery that's like the caddy bibs or caddy jumpsuits with embroidery, his signature, all that. Bernhard Langer playing his last Masters, he showed up. I think VJ was at it, and VJ withdrew from the damn event. So where the hell are you, Tiger? Probably inside of Don Jr.'s ex. But either way, we'll talk about the Masters and a busy roundup. IMSA's back at Long Beach first sprint race. It'll be Robbie Wickens making his debut in the IMSA series, in the IMSA WeatherTech series. F2 and F3 will be at Bahrain, MotoGP, Moto2 at Qatar. Supercars have the Taupo Super Sprint. Formula E will be in Miami. World Superbikes at Assen. And then the first of two four-wide events this month for the NHRA. First one is Las Vegas. Then they'll be in Charlotte later this month. We'll preview Bahrain, the Grand Prix of Bahrain for Formula One. The 50th Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Preview, make picks for both, and then the triple header at Bristol. Make picks for that before Josh's sim segment, talking about all things iRacing and gaming. And we'll call it a day. Got out of the sim. I spent a good, I think, hour and a half in the sim earlier, racing ACC, since next Wednesday we have another endurance race. It'll be on ACC at frickin' Catalunya on the Formula One layout that they used to have. It was, I hate the layout, but whatever. Kind of figured out cars that I might be able to use for that deal. And we'll find out who my co-driver will be. I am still hoping I'm an AM in this deal, because my times relative to some of these other guys is a couple of seconds off. But you know, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, better result. Finished top 5 last time, even with some incidents. We'll see what we can do this time. Alrighty then. So, Josh, you mentioned this, when we prior to getting on, that Ryan Blaney was your pick, and quite frankly, Ryan Blaney had done what he needed to do to win the Goodyear 400 at Darlington, had the best long run car in the whole entire place, and caution comes out with 4 laps to go, and his pit crew sucks. So you add those two things together, and Ryan Blaney ends up with his first top 5 at Darlington, which is crazy to think, considering how good he's been there. But he ends up 5th when he probably should have won the race. The winner of the race was Dennis Hamlin, win number 56 of his career. William Byron, who started on pole, won both stages, and led 243 of the race's 297 laps, and had the fastest lap of the race too. On the last lap, I'll finish second. Christopher Bell, another top 5 finish. Tyler Reddick was 4th. He was leading late in the race there. Ryan Blaney 5th. Christopher Buescher, Ross Chastain, William Clyde Elliott the 2nd. Keebler Gibbs and Kyle Busch, your top 10. There were 30 cars on the lead lap. Ryan Preece started 2nd. In the end, he fell back all the way to 26th. Bubba Wallace got his lap back with that in the late race incident and was able to move all the way up to 21st. Chase Briscoe dropped anchor and ended up finishing 28th. I was thinking I was going to go on a rant about James Small, but I think it's pretty obvious. Martin Truex didn't look like himself for the last few years, driving that 19 car, and I can kind of figure out why now after, 6-7 weeks of watching James, or 8 weeks of watching James Small be Chase Briscoe's crew chief. I'm not saying Chase Briscoe is a freaking god in waiting and of driving, but James Small does suck. And they should make a change. They won't, but they should make a change. To at least salvage the rest of this regular season, build it up, give Chase a chance. It's not like Keebler Gibbs is going anywhere this year. He sucks, but at least it seems like he's building a foundation with his new crew chief. And then you have Hamlin with Gale winning races. And then you have Adam, Stevens, and Bell, which have been together and are a championship contender for sure. But, I mean, I talked about all those Gibbs guys. It was basically William Byron for the first 240-something laps of the race, or 230-something laps of the race. Yeah, he led the first 243 laps consecutively. All, 7 cautions took place, 2 of them being stage breaks. So 5 cautions for cause. They threw a yellow, for debris that Eric Jones lost his mind about. Middle of the race, they had 2 stages. Stage 2 was literally just that, 1 caution, and then those 2 cautions. There's 2 cautions in stage 3. Hocevar was busy hitting everything but the lottery. And then so was Larson. Larson ended up finishing, what does that work out to be? I can't do the quick math there, so we're gonna go and look at that. It's part of what I'm trying to explain. 175 laps down. So you had J.J. Ailey in a Wawa car. Wawa Coors throwback to Bill Elliott. So they won't have any merch for it, so I'm going to save a few bucks. He's starting parked. But other than that, Kyle Larson wrecked 5 laps into the race, came back out, was running around 175 laps down, wasn't going to advance a position. He could have parked his car with about 50 to go, and Blaney would have probably won the race. And instead, yet another instance of Larson and Dale Walsh Jr. getting together caused what was the finish of the race. Hamlin's pit crew, one of the best on pit road, coming through to get that lead and give them the advantage. There were only 4 cars that led in the whole entire race. Reddick had that lead there late. After that pit stop sequence, Byron had dominated the race, and then between Reddick, Hamlin, Blaney, all of those guys had made up ground. Buescher, all through pit stop sequence. And for a guy in Byron, Josh, that had complained about the throwback weekend had run its course, because you throw back to Jeff Gordon every fucking year, and now you're running out of schemes because Hendrick Motorsports is bland. I mean, even Kyle Larson, for as stupid as it was that he was out there, at least there's something, they do something with Terry Labonte every year, and there's like some level of engagement. William Clyde Elliott being a Debbie Downer because that's just what he is. A miserable fuck. Um, you're the fucking son of a legend. You're a champion, and you're a misery. You have more fans. You supposedly have more fans than anybody, and you win most popular driver. How does he win most popular driver? What? By people who sniff glue? Like what the? Who the hell would would like this guy? The guy has no personality. I mean, I have this can of air right here. This can of air, not sponsored by anybody. This has more of a personality than William Clyde Elliott and William Byron. And William Byron, of course, is daddy's money um, inbred because of Liberty University and that whole shit. But um, the fact of the matter is, shut the hell up. People love. There's plenty of people who love the throwbacks for the people that try. Um, you know, I would rather that you try and make some effort because it's alumni weekend. So the idea I had, Josh, before I give you the floor to talk about the race and everything, the idea I have, North Wilkesboro, they're going to go there. It seems like they've made that the all-star race spot. Okay. North Wilkesboro is a throwback. Make it throwback weekend. You have all-star weekend and throwback weekend in one spot. And you can have a truck series throwback as well, which would give them an alumni weekend. And you can bring back Hornaday, Sprague, Skinner, whoever. You could bring, Ted Musgrave and all these other Alabama man, all the truck series champions that are still here with us, the Hamilton family representing Bobby Hamilton, it could have a good weekend that way. And then you have so much other stuff going on that weekend for All-Star Weekend. I think it would be a great use for the Cup Series and the Truck Series because they've never really done a throwback per se. I think they've done it at Darlington, but in a weak manner. That's what I would do. And then you have Alumni Weekend at Darlington in the spring, which gives an opportunity for all these legends to come out and hang out again together. And you get to do some throwback things, have some interviews and cool stuff. The Wood Brothers come through as usual. I mean, to be completely honest, their actual paint scheme is a throwback scheme, and they've always leaned into it. And they're one of the only teams that tries. And their Jim Clark scheme was so good that Doug Bowles, the president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, requested they run it again when they come back for the Brickyard 400. I doubt there's going to be many other paint schemes that they're going to be asking for to run at the Brickyard 400, but they'll see that one. And hopefully it ends up better than what it ended up for Josh Berry because he ended up in the fence off the bumper of Reddick there, or getting together or getting loose around Reddick, whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, Blaney had the race won, Josh. His bestie got together with Larson, who shouldn't have been out there on the racetrack. And in the end, Hamlin comes through with another Darlington win. First one in 10 years, I think it was, they said. So Hamlin setting himself up. That's 5 wins for Gibbs Racing so far in 8 races. I think it's kind of tightening the screws a bit on the cars that aren't winning, which is its own separate story. But what are your takeaways from the weekend, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a throwback type of weekend. I mean, going for many factors. I mean, the fact Carl Edwards won the first throwback race back in 2015, so Denny Hamlin winning in a Carl Edwards throwback is a throwback to that. William Byron leading the first 243 laps and honestly thought that he would lead the entire race. that's a throwback to the old days, right? Um, and cars running sideways and hitting the wall, that's a throwback, right? I mean, best driver in the world supposedly crashing out twice. Um, I mean, the guys back then probably had issues too, and would every now and then might have wrecked a couple of times. So maybe that's a throwback. Um, but the racing itself was okay, but I mean, I was very interested in the finish there, with Ryan Blaney, like, he was gonna steal the win, and he had the, really good car on the long run, and he was coming, as he said back in 2003, "Blaney's coming," and, it was gonna happen, but then, of course, Kyle Larson got wrecked out again, there, so that completely foiled that one, and, Blaney's pit crew was not good all day and lost spots there. And of course, with Darlington, whoever got out in the restart first was going to win that race. And yeah, Denny Hamlin just went out there and stole that one from everybody else. And yeah, now Denny's got two in a row. He's secure in this championship now. So yeah, it's been an interesting, first couple of 8 weeks of racing here and, everything here in the Cup Series, and, now we're kinda starting to see the players and who's all good and everything, and, Denny's sure got himself out, uh, as pr the guy, I think, right now in terms of wins. I think Byron's up there as well in terms of performance, Chris Bell up there as well, so, um, yeah, there's definitely, a lot to, um, take away as now we're kinda settling into the season now, and we're kinda starting to see, who's consistent and, who has still stuff that, um, they need to show here, but yeah, Denny, I mean, I said Denny, William Byron, Bell, Reddick, Blaney. I think those are really the top 5 guys right now. Of course, Blaney's had a ton of bad luck, and just when he needed to have good luck, in terms of a win, gets that taken. He still gets a top 5, so first top 5, top 10 in 6 weeks, which is crazy, but definitely, for Blaney, it's a good finish when he needed to have one. So, yeah, it was a interesting race from that perspective. Of course, I thought maybe tire wear would be more of a factor, which it kind of was, but the leader just had too much of an advantage in clean air, so I didn't really see that manifest in lead changes there. So, yeah, definitely a interesting race from that end. And then you mentioned with the throwbacks and stuff, which to me, I mean, we could just, like, get rid of stage cautions and just throw it back to before that era, that would be my idea of a throwback, just get rid of, uh, some of these rules. Maybe we can just take them out of the next gen cars and put back in the, Gen 4 2003 era cars, or maybe somebody can put together 36, of 1970s era, race cars and throw back, that way. But in all seriousness, I mean, to me, the I could tell from the first couple of years, like, once they got to like 2018, I was like, yeah, they're probably gonna run out of throwbacks in a couple of years from now. Like, this will probably kind of get old. And there's been some good ones over the years. Even now, like Larson, I think has had the best throwback the last couple of years, with this deal, but um, I mean, as a whole, now that you have like 19 teams that didn't participate, I mean, I think part of it is because the branding, you have to get the branding right. Also because they moved it to the spring race, which I think a lot of designers put a lot of emphasis on the Daytona 500. And, you have to have a quick turnaround from the Daytona 500 to Darlington, with, Darlington being, with, this is the beginning of April. And normally, I think, for a throwback, we're used to it being at the Southern 500, and now they're throwing it back in the spring, which, I mean, it's been the case for 5 seasons now. But even with that, um, it's definitely something where you don't have a lot of time between 2 big events to, put together marketing and, paint scheme and all that stuff. So there's definitely that factor as well. that goes into the paint scheme thing. But I think they honor the alumni, which I think is good. Um, and they definitely need more stuff to engage fans in kind of the history of the sport and all that stuff for throwbacks. One thing I did think about is like you have NFL teams that have throwback uniforms, and this kind of ties it back to the paint scheme, which I think makes it paint scheme should be kind of part of the whole deal. Is you have teams that dress up in their throwback uniforms for a couple of games out of the year. Why can't NASCAR kind of figure out that and coordinate that so that everybody's running some kind of throwback or throwback like scheme if they can't exactly throw back to something from back in the day. So those are, I guess, my thoughts on the throwback deal. There, as I know a lot of people do think, and I do think Chase Elliott has a point. Bubba Wallace, they kind of have a point. It kind of is running its deal, but that's because they people have let it run their deal with the lack of paint schemes and stuff like that. I don't mind that we see like repeats, right? Because we've seen Dale Earnhardt throw back before. Jimmy Johnson threw back to it a while ago, right? But I don't mind seeing Cale Yarborough throwbacks and stuff, as long as it's tasteful and all that stuff. But when your brand can't run a throwback, like we didn't see a Ty Gibbs throwback. We didn't see Ross Chastain, which is surprising because he ran the Bush car, which that's been a throwback car in the past, but they didn't do anything this year. So yeah, definitely kind of surprising there from that angle. So we'll see next year what kind of paint schemes we come out of it, but yeah, I would definitely think in order to inject new enthusiasm for it, you got to be able to switch things up but still maintain the originality.
Yeah, I mean, I give I think that the point of because they're doing it earlier in the year has validity for sure. Some of these teams like Gibbs, uh, especially with the 19 car, and the 19 car was always guilty of this. Truex wouldn't run throwbacks over the years, but you had the 11 and 20 that participated. Keebler not running one. I mean, whatever. I mean, there's been the Monster Energy scheme really hasn't changed, but there's a little bit of there's room with that. I think they could have done like a homage to Interstate Batteries with the green that goes with the Monster Energy. Like there's things you could do. I mean, some of these teams, if they actually would have tried, it would be one thing. Clyde never tries. And I'm like, for years, I've been yelling about they could have run a freaking Ron Hornaday paint scheme for years, never did. And he's a Hall of Famer. They did I don't know how many Bill Elliott throwbacks. He did the one to the Dodge when his dad won the Indianapolis and whatever. He did the first race, whatever car. I think he did a Coors scheme too. But then you also think about it, he could have jumped in on the Gordo stuff. There's other people you could throw back to. I mean, the reality is, you think of Hendrick Motorsports and how many legends and Hall of Famers. Like, you could go and throw back to Jeff Bodine. You could throw back to, which they've done, I know. You can throw back to Junebug. I mean, he had slick, clean, simple schemes that, to be completely honest, are very, very repeatable with the bland color schemes that Hendrick brings out most of the time. The fact that Larson basically doesn't have a sponsor makes it easier for him to go and incorporate whatever throwback on his end. I mean, the bullshit Ken Schrader throwback was just an insult to Ken Schrader. They could have went with a plain white car with the green and gold, with green letter, green and background, and the gold trim and the white lettering, which would have been which fits Clyde to a T, because he's bland. But they didn't do that. I was disappointed that Briscoe didn't run some sort of throwback, because he's done really well during throwback weekend over the years, especially when he was driving for Stuart Haas. Yeah, I mean, as a run its course, probably. Do I agree they should get rid of it? No. I think they should just move it. Move it to later in the year, move it to the All-Star race. Everybody knows All-Star race will be the throwback weekend. You have time, you have lead time to go and make merch, you have time to, I mean, you could, I mean, even one better. You want to go even crazy? Let's just go and do it at the 600. That would be outstanding. The longest race of the year, throwback, all this thing, Memorial Day weekend, all this stuff. There would be any number of different ways you can go about it, but the patriotic schemes go there, so that's fine. But we'll see. Points right now, Byron leads overall points. Bell and Hamlin are really close together. You got Larson and Josh Berry. Those are the 5 guys that have won races so far in 2025. William Clyde Elliott II, Tyler Reddick close together. Blaney, even with all the terrible luck he's at, is 8th in points. Bubba is 9th. Logano 10th. They're all relatively close together, along with Alex Bowman. Buescher, Chastain, Preece, Briscoe, and Kyle Busch round out your 16. AJ Allmendinger minus 11, Michael McDowell minus 12, Richard minus 19, and John Hunter Nemechek minus 22. So there is starting to be a gap there. Reddick and Elliott, I think, are pretty solid already. Blaney, I really figure the top 10 right now, the current top 10 in points with the winners. I think those guys are going to win here as we go along. But we will see. Just to look at some of the people who are in pretty bad shape. Barry is 20th in points, so the win is the only thing that's saving him at the moment. He'd be 26 points out without that win. You got the likes of Daniel Suarez, got Haley, Hocevar, Brad Keselowski, that's the one, 31st in points, only 3 points out of Gagson. Jane Van Gisbergen, struggling, which isn't surprising. But he is still beating Herbst, Custer, and Ware right now. So those are the points there. Xfinity Series race, Sport Clips, Help a Hero, VFW 200, saw Buckshot Jones. That's just something. One of 5 drivers who led double-digit laps. Christopher Bell running one of his 2 Rick Ferkel throwbacks. Started on pole, but ended up 25th. There were 33 cars on the lead lap, so that's pretty crazy. Relatively clean race. There was only 1 car 1 lap down, so relatively clean race. Outside of Chris Wrong being Chris Wrong, Leland Honeyman wrecking the Nesquik car. Xfinity Series definitely did a better job with it, with the throwbacks for the most part there. So, Buckshot with the win over Clyde. Justin Allgaier, third, led the most laps and won stage two. Chastain from 27th to fourth. And Carson Kvapil, fifth. So four junior motorsports cars, because let's be fair, the Hendrick car, I think, also has some semblance of a connection. Or do they maintain that one in the Hendrick shop, like actual? I don't remember offhand. I think they do, but I kind of thought that maybe there was some parts of it that might have been assembled or done at the junior shop, but who knows? Um, you have Connor Zilich there, so then you have you have four junior motorsports cars, third through sixth. Christian Eckes gets a top 10 7. Nick Sanchez, Sammy Smith, the worst of the bunch, what a shocker. And then Sheldon Creed, top 10 finish. I'm trying to see who won the other stage. Was Harrison Burton in stage one, finished 13th, led 12 laps there. Sam Moore, a rare weekend where he didn't finish in the top 10, and then he didn't get stage points either. Hank Hill, 16th. That's, yeah, I mean, you had talked about Bell, Kyle Sieg, and Anthony Alfredo had done a tire strategy there in stage one to get themselves up there. Yeah, but Allgaier led the most laps, but didn't lead after lap 98. It was Ross Chastain took the lead from him, and then from there was pit stop sequences. It was Buckshot, Burton. There was a few people, and then Buckshot Jones ends up taking the lead in the last 10, 11 laps to get his sixth career Xfinity win. First win in 4 years. And Buckshot Jones got a win. Whoop-de-doo.
He do indeed for Buckshot Jones, of course. It's always a surprise when he wins, but um, he just seems to win at the random times. But we haven't really gotten a win from him in a few years, and didn't win at all when he was over at JRM. But now over here back at Gibbs picks up a win. So, and we talked before the show about all the wins that he's had. He's only won at Kansas, Darlington, Martinsville, and I forget what the other track we
Phoenix.
were just talking. Phoenix, yeah, Phoenix. So we've only seen him win at 3 tracks, which I mean, it's actually not that bad. But then um, we were also saying, well, he's been in the Xfinity Series since 2019 or 2016 and hasn't done anything. So it's pretty interesting how he's just been in this series and hung around for so long and, hasn't really gotten much out of it. So,
10
uh,
years, 10th
yeah,
year
10
full
years.
time.
And yeah, save big money at Menards. So, yeah, that's why he's in here. But hey, I mean, he got a win here. I mean, he's doing all right, 7th place here. So he's qualified in the playoffs now because last year he didn't make it in that deal. So, um, unfortunate for me to make it in 2023 either. So is already back in, which I guess for junior that's probably disappointing because they had signed him to that deal there. But uh, for Buckshot, uh, he gets a win. I mean, I feel like the other storylines, I mean, in this series, I mean, you had Chase Elliott coming back to the Xfinity series, which, he got into it a little bit with Ross Chastain, and there is, a bit of racing deal there. And then Ross Chastain got into it with Chris Bell uh, on track as well. So, Cup guys making some, interesting movement here in the Xfinity series and kind of being part of the highlights, which is interesting there. But all these guys were definitely racing pretty hard throughout the entire race. There, you mentioned the throwbacks with this series. I mean, I think it's a lot easier when you have small time sponsors that can are willing to kind of stretch the bounds for their throwbacks, like the Nesquik throwback. Like that's easy because that's a pretty small company, and they can shape their logo to look like the Nesquik logo and be a lot more true to form with what they're able to do there on that thing. And then some of them able to work like Carson Quapple. I mean, that's basically the Jamie McMurray, and it works too. So the other problem with the Cup Series is the number being moved over. Right, I feel like maybe with the throwback they could shift it back, but uh for Quapple, I mean, it's exact replica because it's, basically the same Jamie McMurray scheme from 2010, 2011 from that era. So, uh, seems like, with smaller companies, it's easier to do in the Xfinity series with, the throwbacks. So they're able to pull off, I think, a better looking throwback there, for that. But, um, yeah, it's definitely something to look at as we, go forward. But Justin Allgaier, like said, yeah, probably is another race that he should have won. And it's probably, I feel like it's going to be a theme throughout the years. He's just going to have a bunch of races where he leads the most laps and probably should have deserved to win, but it doesn't go his way. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely cleaner race after what we experienced at Martinsville. It's definitely a lot better than that showing for sure.
Sorry, just replying to a couple people, one in particular. But in terms of the paint schemes, I mean, you had such a great variety throughout the field. I mean, Buckshot had a throwback to the Dollar General Matt Kenseth, or Dollar General, insert anybody who was sponsored by Dollar General scheme. Uh, Allgaier always does a brand thing. Vast majority of times he does that. Fine. Um, you had the Honeyman car throwing back to Jeff Green. You had Alfredo before he lost his mind. It was a Sterling Marlin car. Let me just go back out of curiosity to go and look at Pain. Do they have that? Qualifying contingency awards. We can then go over that. No, damn it. Pain schemes. Darlington. Okay, there you go. That's exactly what I wanted. Yeah, well, Sheldon Creed didn't run one. Yeah, you had Carson Quapple did. Oh yeah, Parker Etzloff throwing back to Ernie Irvin. That's the Kodak film Chevrolet number 4. That was badass. Oh wow, the 07 team did a throwback randomly to Scott Riggs, Valvoline. Okay, then Sammy Smith did the Three Doors Down throwback to Smoke when he drove for what was a Chance 2. Daniel Dye throwing back to Adam Petty. What is that? Josh Williams throwing back to one of them Army schemes. I assume it's either to Joe Nemechek or could be any whoever. What is it? Mark Martin? I don't know. That's a different one. The William Sawalich throwing back to Kyle Busch, and what is it? The NOS energy drink car. And talk about Rick Ferkel car for Bell. Then what is it? Bruckshot. Uh, Harrison Burton throwing back to his dad, of course. Dean Thompson throwing back to freaking Jamie McMurray when he stunk for Roush. Jeb Burton throwing back to, of course, his dad on the Hardy's paint scheme. So that's always cool. I think a winner, honestly, for me and personal bias, is the Kyle Sieg, Ricky Rudd, Texaco Avalon 28 car. That was really cool. That isn't. I don't think that Blaine Perkins car is a throwback. Neither is that one. Greg Van Alst was throwing back to Ryan Reed. Okay. Ryan Sieg throwing back to the reverse Dale Jarrett. Ford quality care scheme back in the day. Sam Mayer doing a throwback to Kurt Busch. This is Daytona 500 win with grass on the hood. Then, Alfredo with the scheme, Sterling Marlin, Brennan Poole with the Jeffy scheme, Mason Massey driving a Jimmy Spencer Winston scheme. The Nick Sanchez car painted like Uncle Bobby's, third Indy 500 win. Gurney Eagle car. I think the 1976 Indianapolis 500. Jeremy Clements throwing back to Harry Gant. I have no idea who David Starr is throwing back to. Maybe he isn't throwing back to anybody. Maybe throwing back to himself for all I know. Because he's like 900 years old. Ryan Ellis is actually throwing back to himself. Connor Zilich doing the Buddy Baker Crisco car. And then D Burrito doing an X-Side Jeff Burton scheme. So, the vast majority of the field did a really good job there, and at least they tried. So we give them that. The Xfinity Series moves on to Bristol this coming weekend. 5 winners this year so far. Hill Allgaier, who leads the points. Zilich, Love, Jones. Then Sam Ayers plus 87 over the cut line. Sheldon Creed plus 63. Carson Quapple, that's where the fun really begins. He's only plus 25. Ryan Sieg plus 22. Harrison Burton plus 10. Sammy Smith plus 5. And Jeb Burton plus 3 over Daniel Dye. Nick Sanchez just outside minus 14. Christian Eckes minus 15. Taylor Gray minus 20 from the cut line there. Brennan Poole's minus 25, so he's actually in the mix. Dean Thompson isn't too far away there. He's 91. Yeah, so 34. Yeah, 34 points out. So he's actually somewhat in the mix. Sawalich struggling a bit. He's going to probably need a win. And then that's basically it, really. Retzloff missed a race. Josh Balicki missed 2. Smithley won. So that's it. Allgaier leads the overall points by 71 over Sam Mayer and 79 over Austin Hill. Austin Hill has a 1-point lead in the playoff point standings. And, you have Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love round out the top 5. Connor Zilich, Buckshot Jones, Quapple, Sieg, Harrison Burton. Alrighty then. Went through all the NASCAR stuff there. I'll talk about the Japanese Grand Prix. And Fish Lips going and winning. He qualified on pole. People kind of surprised. He broke a record to go and get that pole repave. A good amount of the circuit was repaved at Suzuka. They hadn't shown. He hadn't shown the outright pace, I don't think, earlier in the weekend, but come qualifying time, he was able to do so and then make a great start and kind of dictate the race from there. McLaren battling amongst themselves didn't help matters. Fish Lips over Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, and Russell. Andrea Kimi Antonelli was sixth, Lewis Hamilton seventh, Isaac Hadjar eighth place, uh, Alex Albon ninth, and Ollie Bierman 10th. So three of the rookies scored points. This past weekend, Yuki Tsunoda in his debut for Red Bull was 12th. So, Stroll, I think, started dead last and was the only car that was a lap down. So, congrats to him. Fish Lips wins. I think the bigger issue was the way that McLaren handled the race and didn't really put any pressure on Fish Lips to have to make a real decision. And then and Red Bull, and by allowing GP and Max to kind of dictate how this was going to go at a track that is known as very hard to pass on, Verstappen gets another win in Japan.
Yeah. Gets on the leaderboard for the first time this year, so at least they finally got a win, which not really a surprise here. Yeah, it's hard to pass at Suzuka. Um, and obviously, whoever was going to get a good launch off the start was probably going to win this race. And really, the only time that there was anything really of interest was coming off of the pits for their one pit stop. And Lando, I think he tried to stay side by side and say he got forced into the grass, but yeah, kind of a flop there on Lando's part. And Max, I think he didn't do anything wrong there. He just continued to hold his line there as he's supposed to, coming off the pit road. So that was really the only interesting part. And actually, with that, it did cost Lando some time there because he went to the grass, lost ground, and I think, if he could have stayed behind him right there, maybe they could made in something interesting coming out of the pits or, the first couple of laps, maybe try to stay as close as he could and maybe at some point get DRS, but yeah, not really a good situation there. So yeah, Lando um finished second, so nothing really here in the standings now. Max has the lead in the standings, but over 2 points for over Lando, and then Piastri is 15. So still Max up on top, but um, this definitely um, as open as it is. We could see next race could see Lando or Piastri come out and win. So it'll be interesting to kind of see this play out. We have three different winners, which definitely a lot more interesting than in the past. Certainly from that regard, with a little bit of parity to start the season in some respect. So yeah, we'll see Bahrain next week what happens, but probably not going to be anything interesting as far as like another new winner. But certainly with this championship, we'll see how it goes and how it plays out. But yeah, I think for me personally, I think probably just watch the first 10 laps or so and then said, all right, time to go to bed. So yeah, not much to watch from there. But and then I think I checked later about the score or about the result, but yeah, not a surprise that Max won. And I think one thing we'll say is this first race for Yuki after getting the Red Bull ride uh, there and finishing 12th, and if you thought like, oh well, Yuki could do well. I mean, this car is still difficult to drive, so I mean, he only got 2 races for Liam Lawson, so we'll see. And he finished, well below, Yuki there. So, we'll see next race how Yuki does. I mean, I think for him, I mean, he's gonna be in for the season, but I mean, to me, like, if the goal was to fire the guy and put who the other better guy is, like, he's gotta start scoring in the points also. Otherwise, it's not gonna it's basically the same result if you don't finish in the points. So, um, yeah, I think next race at Bahrain, got to see Yuki finish in the points to um, start making this switch look good on paper at least.
Yeah, I mean, this 3 week stretch in the Middle East is going to be a interesting one for both of those guys. Uh, Yuki getting more time in the car, uh, Lawson trying to get the confidence back. We'll see how that all pans out. I mean, we've got other stuff, the notion that Jack Doohan might end up getting canned. Um, I don't know if he'll get canned during this 3 week stretch. If I think the earliest he probably goes and gets the hook is before Miami, um, when they have that run starting. But we have some of them other drivers there. But yeah, I mean Yuki, the what is it in the grid talk? What is it? Slack channel. There is a meme that George shared where in the last 10 races, Fish Lips has outscored 6 of the teams that are on the grid right now in the last 10 races by himself. And the second driver for Red Bull has, in that last 10 races, has scored 9 points. So if you want to know how putrid the productivity has been for uh, Red Fool. Yeah, I bring it up. Yeah, George brought it. Yeah, it was McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Fish Lips had 170 points by himself. Then there was a huge drop off to Alpine with 52, Haas with 44, Aston with 30, Williams 28, Toro Rosso with 15, Slobber with 10, and the Red Bull second driver with 9. So yeah, that's pretty terrible. And that's with 3 drivers too. It's not a great look. But One-Eyed Marco and Karen Horner know everything, right? Yeah, the points, Lando 1 point lead, it shows on the Formula One website over Fish Lips. Piastri is 13 points back in third. But Woody is 17 points back in fourth. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, credit to him. I thought he was going to wreck every week, but great start to the year for him. Fifth in points, 10 points ahead of Charles Leclerc, and 15 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's actually behind Albon. And then, Ollie Bierman, you have Isaac Hadjar. So you got them rookies. So right now there's only 5 drivers that haven't scored a point. 2 of them are rookies. If you really think about Liam Lawson, he sort of is a rookie. Pierre Gasly. The only constructor that hasn't scored a point is Alpine so far in 2025. McLaren has 36-point lead on Mercedes and then a 50-point lead on Red Bull, just to kind of bring home the point that Josh was making. Ferrari right now is 40 points behind Mercedes. So they're in fourth. And then Williams starts that midfield battle. They're 4 points at a Haas, 9 ahead of Aston, 12 ahead of Toro Rosso, and 13 ahead of Slobber. Alpine bringing up the caboose, of course, with 0 points. Yeah, so I'll make a go through the Masters. For the Masters tournament. The field, I think there's 90 something players. Those, past champions not playing 6, 12, 17. Either because, of course, they're not. Oh no, these are all living, players that aren't playing, I mean, we'd look at in Masters picks to win. I mean, the odds right now, just going off CBS Sports, just as that's the first thing that was available. Trying to go through. Robert McIntyre. Wow, that's a pick. Top 10 locks, Scotty Scheffler. This guy picked Colin Morikawa. Scotty Scheffler, top 10. Alright, so yeah, that didn't really help. I mean, trying to look through. So Colin Morikawa, Bean Lowry. Then this guy says Scotty Scheffler, Will Zalatoris, Colin Morikawa, JT. Okay, so a lot of these writers and whoever are picking Colin Morikawa. So I like that. I'm a fan of Colin Morikawa. So I'd be happy if that were to happen. You got that's a team. Scheffler, Schauffele, Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, and what is that? Seb Straka, Russell Henley, Robert McIntyre, Nick Taylor, Kevin Yu. Interesting. Those are some interest. Some of those are really interesting names. I mean, the main storylines: can Scotty Scheffler repeat and win 3 out of the last 4 Green Jackets? You got Rory McIlroy trying to chase the career Grand Slam. You have the live guys, of course, DJ, Phil, Reed, that have won the Masters, Garcia, but then you have Bryson DeChambeau trying to win the Masters, Brooks Koepka, those guys. And I mean, you got a lot of these other guys, big time pros. I mean, Xander Schauffele, coming off of winning 2 majors last year. You have Brian Harman, Georgia Bulldog player, won last week in San Antonio. You got I mean, I would say that Justin Thomas is somebody that I think is trending, along with Colin Morikawa. Both of those guys have been in the TGL. I think both of those guys are, I think, look really good for a chance. Sleeper pick for me. I'll go with my heart, I guess, and I'll say Jordan Spieth and Phil Mickelson because those are players that I've enjoyed watching over the years. Phil was my favorite player for a long, long time. For brown people, of course, we got Sahith Tagala and Akshay Bhatia. Akshay, of course, is a lefty, so I think the course plays well for lefties. If he can putt the ball really well, he can get those greens figured out. He's somebody that can fill it up. Sahith Tagala is a big driver of the ball, but where he drives it is a problem. So there's a lot of people I could contend this week. Two main storylines are going to be Scheffler and McIlroy. Like the last time for Bernhard Langer playing what possibly might be the last time of Fred Couples playing the Masters. So there's a bunch of things going on, but it'll be a good tournament. We'll talk about it next week on the GSP in more detail. IMSA comes back. We'll start the roundup here. IMSA's first sprint race. What? Right unfold. Right stuff. Teams are but the April 2nd, the team Adam Adelson from John Wright. Advisory team. Bought the expansion plan. Adelson's so doing their okay, so the guy who was their AM driver bought the team, Elliot Skier. All right, well, good for them. At least the team is alive, so that's nice. Grand Prix of Long Beach, Robert Wickens, going and Jay Fry, Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan, president. So that's a big news story. Worked for IndyCar now. He's working for Ray Hall, so that'll be something. In the entry list, 27 entries. It'll be GTP and then GT Daytona. GT Daytona will have 16 cars, GTP 11, 2 Porsche Penske's, the 2, there's actually only one Porsche Privateer, the JDC Miller 85 car. Cadillac will have their usual 3 cars, the 2 from Wayne Taylor Racing, and then the Whelen Engineering car, the 2 BMWs from Team ALL, and then the Acura Meyer Shank duo, making up the field there. And then also the Aston Martin will actually make their sprint debut. Ross Gunn, Roman DeAngelis behind the wheel of the number 23. And, no driver lineups pretty, those are all the usual. 16 entries in GTD. You got the one that I'll look at Sheena Monk any day, but whatever. You got the number 36, Tommy Milner, driving he's a platinum DXDT Racing coming up from with the Michelin Pilot Challenge and other series, and Robert Wickens will be the silver. Of course, Robert Wickens, we've gone over the story in great detail over the last few years, but now Robbie, at least for this year, is going to run the sprint races for this team. So the next step in his recovery, in a sense, to try and race in big time major racing. So rooting for that car. I'm not a Corvette fan by any means, but I'm rooting for him. I'll root for Robert Wickens any day, and Tommy Milner, who went full willpower, flipping off. I think it was a BMW, Paul Miller BMW team at Daytona. So that's a good combination, though. Have a chance to be really competitive. Vassar Sullivan has 2 cars in this race. And then you have variety, a few Ferraris there. The AO Racing number 77 will be the number 177, and Lawrence Vantor will run with Johnny Edgar. So that's a really solid driver lineup. Aaron Teelitz, Frankie Montecalvo is another one, along with Jack Hawksworth and Parker Thompson, though. Entirely possible that winner is coming in through one of those choices. Of course, Russell Ward, Philip Ellis, Windward Racing won 12 hours. Mercedes are, I think, more suited towards the longer races, but see what happens with that. The next item on the list is Formula 2 and Formula 3. They will race at Bahrain. The first race of the year was Australian Grand Prix. They weren't able to run the feature, so the sprint race results are what, unless you count Victor Martins, I guess they gave for 2 points for the pole, or I don't know. That's the only points that he has, so I think that's a misprint. Yeah. So Joshua Dirksen, Luca Fornaroli, Luke Browning, Richard Vashore, Roman Stanek, Sebastian Montoya, Gabriele Mini, Victor Martins, Pepe Marti, your point scorers so far. So we'll see what some of these guys, including both Americans, Jack Crawford, Max Easterson, you got Kushmaini, what those guys can do at Sakir. They'll be racing back-to-back weeks here and in Jeddah. Then they'll take a month off before going to Imola and Monte Carlo and Barcelona, 3 weeks in a row for that. So then their season ends in Monza too. Wow, okay. So they've condensed it the same way too. And then, Formula 3. They ran both races, I think. So Kamara, the leader, over Nail, Stromstead, Nikita Bedrin, Stenshore, Intra Pruvasak. There you go. Intra Pruvasak. Ramos, Belinsky, Tramnitz, Verts, your top 10 going into Sakir. And then they'll run this race, and then they'll run the 3 races in a row in May. So yeah, their schedule's a little different. The MotoGP and Moto2. MotoGP, the world champion. What do you call? Why am I forgetting his name now? Jorge Martin. There you go. Jorge Martin, the world champion, will, it looks like, make his debut for 2025 on the Aprilia at Qatar. So will be good to see him. Not sure what he'll be able to do. On his first race on the bike. as it stands at the moment, even though Mark Marquez, I think, has won all but one race, they're still a point behind Alex Marquez, his brother, younger brother. Pecco Bagnaia is only 12 points out of the lead. Then Franco Morbidelli is fourth. Fabio Di Gianantonio fifth. Iagura, even he got penalized, lost points. He's sixth. Johan Zarco, Bisecki, Marini, Jack Miller. That's a good battle from basically sixth on through is like 15 points from sixth all the way to down to 16th, which is Mir and Rins. The former Suzuki teammates. Yeah, so there's that, and the only rider that hasn't scored a point, other than of course Jorge Martin, is Somikat Chantra for LCR Honda. In Moto 2, Jake Dixon, 13-point lead over Aaron Canet. Gonzalez, Lopez, Arbolino, top five. Marcos Ramirez for the American Racing Team is sixth. And right now, Joe Roberts has not scored a point so far in the season, so hopefully he can get off the schneid there this coming weekend. Supercars will race this weekend. Taupo Super Sprint in New Zealand, yeah, so that'll be good. You'll have, I'm sure, guys like Scott McLaughlin, Scott Dixon, Shane Van Gisbergen, amongst others, will be focused on this race weekend. The driver standings heading into this race, defending series champion Will Brown, the points leader by 7 over Cam Waters. And Bach Feeney is third. Chaz Mostert leads a tight pack. Chaz Mostert, Brody Kostecki, Matthew Payne, and Anton D. Pasquale from fourth through seventh there. Cameron Hill, Thomas Randall, Nick Percat, rounding out your top 10. I think I just closed the my outline like a genius. We'll go back to that. The scroll through supercars, went through that. Go to Formula E in Miami. So Formula E will be racing on the Miami Autodrome, the freaking parking lot circuit. Or does that say Homestead? Is that
Homestead?
It says Homestead, but we've raced in Miami. The first race of Biscayne Bay Street Circuit. We'll be calling a new home. Yeah, it is going to be at Homestead. Yeah, so that they're going to use the Roval. It looks like they're going to go adaptive versions, several. Wow, that is interesting. Okay. I thought that they were racing at the Miami Autodrome. All right, my mistake. Let's see what the track layout is. I'm curious. everything is on Saturday. Most of the stuff is on Saturday. FP2, the qualifying the race. They'll have one free practice on Friday, a little earlier, or in the late in the afternoon. Doesn't show track layout. Event info. That's event info. Wow. DJ Vikina. Yeah. Jay. Yeah. I will stay silent. She ain't bad. Yeah, it doesn't show anything, doesn't show the track, nothing. And then there's only USA scored their one and only podium finish in Miami when the Andretti Stand Scott Speed sped their second place. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's a big pull. All right. So let's go to the standings. I was hoping to look at a track layout, but of course I didn't have it. Oliver Rowland, your points leader by 17 over Taylor Barnard. Drives for McLaren, Nissan powered as well. Oliver Rowland drives for Nissan factory team. Antonio Felix da Costa third. Maximilian Gunther fourth. JQ's fifth, giving 5 teams in the top 5. Da Costa, former champion. John Eric Vernon, 6th, former champion. Pascal Wehrlein, the defending series champion. Jake Dennis, former champion. And Nick DeVries, 2. So a lot of contenders, former champions in this series up there early in the year. Then World Superbikes, not as much drama there. It's pretty simple. Toprak Raskatlioku and Nicolo Balega. That's really what the battle is there. Balega has a 29-point lead over Raskatlioku. Petrucci and Bautista, Locatelli separated by 4 points. So we'll see what happens there. World Superbike. And then NHRA, last but not least, will race 4-wide Las Vegas Nationals. Clay Milliken coming off of winning at Pomona. Graham Rahal Performance. So the son-in-law of John Force and the husband of Courtney Force. Graham Rahal Performance will be on both vehicles, both the Top Fuel and Funny Car. So that'll be interesting, cool to see. On the Beckman car, and of course on his sister-in-law Brittany Force's Top Fuel dragster. So we'll see how those 2 cars are able to do. And trying to see entry list, but I'm not gonna bother. The standings right now, Sean Langdon, 77-point lead over teammate Doug Coletta, 86 over defending series champion Antron Brown. Brittany Force 4th. It's very close from basically from Antron Brown all the way down. You got till Jasmine Salinas in 7th. You have Milliken and Tony Stewart inside of that. That didn't sound right. But for Funny Car, Jack Beckman, 59-point lead over Paul Lee. Beckman won at Pomona. Paul Lee won at Phoenix. Matt Hagan was 3rd and 74 back, and then Chad Green, who won at Gainesville. defending champion Austin Prock is 5th, 100 points back. Ron Capps 107. Greg Anderson and his teammate Dallas Glenn, dominant start to the year. Corey Reed is 3rd, Matt Hartford, Jake Coughlin Jr. Only drivers within 200. Gage Herrera, I think they've only run one race, I think. Yeah, that's it. So they'll race at the 4 wide, so see them again this weekend at Las Vegas. Yeah. Or no, Pro Stock Motorcycle isn't competing this weekend. They'll be competing at Charlotte, though. Top Fuel Funny Car, Pro Stock Motor, or Top Alcohol Funny Car, Top Alcohol Dragster. Okay. Yeah, so that's the roundup. Let us get into the Bahrain Grand Prix and the picks. So I went first last week, Josh. So you get first dibs here. Bahrain Grand Prix F1. Bahrain Grand Prix picks. Josh, start us off.
Max Verstappen wins the second race and extends his championship point lead. I'll say that. Oscar Piastri second and Lando Norris in third. Muted.
I was gonna say that's great. Said all that. Piastri, Fish Lips, Norris. So I just swapped first and second there, hoping that Ferrari is able to bring an updated floor adjustment to the floor to give better stability over this 3-week run, because racing at Bahrain, it's got different surface changes, some rougher sections and then some smoother sections. Saudi track is really fast and dangerous, so you don't want to be out of control there. And then Bahrain. Oh yeah, so that was second. It's a second of 3 races. Yeah, so Japan and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. So there goes that. Hopefully Lewis can do something, but not holding out on that. At least not until probably Miami at this point. Race will be at 11 a.m., so that'll be nice. Reasonable time to see a race for once, so we'll take that. The Grand Prix of Long Beach, 50th running of the Grand Prix of Long Beach. In who's who of drivers has won at Long Beach, so there's a lot to look at there in trying to figure out who I'm going to pick is, I think the easy thing would just be picking Alex Pillow. So I can just go for the low hanging fruit and just pick Alex Pillow to win. I will say Colton Herta, hometown guy, finishes second. And then third will be Scott McLaughlin. So those are IndyCar, Grand Prix of Long Beach. Phil goes, hello, Polo, Herta, McLaughlin. How about you, Josh?
I'm gonna say Pato Award wins. Um, say Colton Herta. I'll agree with you. Colton Herta's second, and I'm gonna say Pillow third.
I could work with that podium. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. Be good for the series, to be fair, if Pato actually won for all the damn marketing money they've spent, or Fox has, on him. It's not like he didn't try to win at Thermal. It's just that the 10 team had way better strategy. All right, last but not least, before we head into Josh's sim segment, will be the NASCAR triple header at Bristol Motor Speedway. They don't have a full truck. They don't have a full field here. Second of 3 races in the triple truck challenge. Daniel Hemrick, who won at Martinsville, has a chance if he can win this race, and then Rockingham to put together a big prize. You got Buckshot Jones. You have Kyle Larson, Corey Day in this race. And then Dr. Patrick Starpoli also will be in this. So that's, I think that's 35. They said for 35 for 36. So yeah, nobody going home. You got Bailey Curry in 44, Luke Fenhouse in 66, Parker Kligerman. Not sure if he made a start since he got screwed at Daytona, but it's the home game for Henderson Motorsport. So it'll be good to see them back. So Josh, you can go first here. Who do you have as your winner and wild card?
I'm gonna go with Kyle Larson winning your second start this year at Bristol. So I'll go with him winning. Wild card for me. Go with Corey Day. We'll stick with the Spire.
Yeah, the Hendrick Spire connection there. For me, I will go with Lane Riggs as the winner. And then my wild card pick, I have to go back to the points out of curiosity. The points of all the people that run, was it 23 drivers, so the top 13. Oh, so I could go and I can fill out the whole HendrickCars.com bingo card and take Raja Karuth because he's outside of the top half a point. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll pick Lane Riggs to win and Raja Karuth wildcard. All right, NASCAR Xfinity at Bristol. Usually Destruction Derby, especially in the second race when they have it there. But the SciAps 300, which will see two vehicles going home. Larson in all three races. Trying to do the triple again, like he tried to do at Homestead. I am going to pick. I'm going to end up, you know what? I'm going to pick Sam Mayer. I think HFT has been doing really well on a per week basis. I think it would be a big deal for them to win at Bristol and then get their kind of season solidified. And then my wild card, which really isn't a wild card, but considering how he ran a few weeks ago, I'll say is Justin Bonsignor. The multi-time modified champion, driving for Gibbs. So it's a really good hedge there. Wins and Justin Bonsignor wild card. Josh, how about you?
Well, you're going to go with Sam Mayer. I'm going to go with his teammate, Sheldon Creed. So, yeah, I pick Sheldon Creed to win this race. And then my wild card, I will pick, I'll pick Matt. Wait, let me make sure before really quick. Yeah, okay, I will pick Matt DiBenedetto as my wild card.
Yeah, that's Matt DiBurrito has had success at Bristol in the past. Had a
Finished
chance
second
to
in
win at
2019.
Bristol. Yeah, to win for Levine. He ran sixth in a BK racing car there. So he's had success for sure. So I picked Sheldon Creed a few weeks ago, and I think he finished second for like the 800th time.
Going to manifest his first career win.
Manifest his first career win. If that happens, we might have to rename the algorithm to Sheldon Creed. If that happens, honestly, if you're the one that's able to pull after Florida gets their national title, then you go and pull Sheldon Creed's first win. We're gonna have to do something for that because it'll be like I think Sheldon Creed's gonna drink like a 12-pack in victory lane if he live in front of everybody in the grandstands if he finally gets that victory. Of course, you can't count out the usual suspects with JRM and Gibbs. That would have been that would have actually been a good call to go and take him, but that one there. But I passed. So the last but not least, the Food City 500, Bristol 39 for 40. Nobody going home. Corey LaJoy driving the 0-1 for Ware. Jesse Love making his Cup Series debut. in the 33. And then Josh Bilicki driving the 66 for Carl Long. Josh, you get first dibs here. NASCAR Cup. Bristol does Denny Hamlin match his teammate Chris Bell and win 3 in a row? Or will it be someone else?
It's tough. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think because especially if things happen like it did before, uh, like last year, I don't think so. But I'm gonna go with man. This is really putting this one out there, but you know what? I'm gonna say that Bubba Wallace comes out here and finally gets a win. Um, this out there, but I mean, he's eighth in the standings. He's had I don't know. It's tough to say what type of year he's really had because I think he's being boosted by stage points, but he's definitely made a lot of progress, uh, over where he's been in the past. So, um, yeah, we'll say Bo Wallace wins, and we'll go with let's see, okay, who can I say? As I'm gonna say, uh, Austin Cindric is my wild card.
Oh, that is a ballsy combination there. The 23 and the 2. As the choices for Josh. I it the interesting thing is I brought up Racing Reference out of curiosity. In the last 10 races, the best average finish by far is Larson. He's only ran 8 of the last 10 races, though. For somebody who's run the last 10 races, it's actually Denny Hamlin. With 3 wins, 5 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. So 8.2 average finish. I picked Brad Keselowski in a couple of my pick'em pools, and that really worked out well for me. Wow, that's interesting. That is an interesting poll there. I will go. The fuck not. I mean, it would be something if we had actually did this for points and how far ahead you'd be. I could just take whatever the hell I want, but I still do that anyways. It's not like I ever really get many of these right. You could look at my choices last week for Darlington as proof of that. I mean, actually, I was on the right path in the Xfinity race. And you actually had that was a great pull with Ty Dillon. As he actually ran well. I don't know what's going on at Colleague that he's running well, and AJ's kind of sort of struggling, but he's up
Tire
there.
wear.
Yeah, that's probably it. I'll go Larson. Kyle Larson wins, and then my wild card selection based on the current point standings. You have that's Xfinity, not Cup. That's not what I want. The Cup, yeah. So you have that's 35, 6, yeah. I do have a couple of. There's a few intriguing names there. So actually, why not? I picked Kyle Larson, and I'll pick somebody else who's won this year. I'll pick Josh Berry. They've won the Wood Brothers, of course. I've won at Bristol multiple times. Most recently was Elliott Sadler when he won his first career race there. pitting on the backstretch when there used to be a front and a backstretch pit, separate pits instead of the one continuous pit situation that they came up with soon after that. It was Elliott Sadler and the late John Andretti giving Wood Brothers and Petty Enterprises 1-2. Those are my picks there. All right, Josh, it's your turn here. Let us know what's going on in iRacing and gaming on the sim segment.
Yeah, I mean, this week iRacing, we've got for ovals, got the Nashville Super Speedway here for IndyCar Oval Fixed. Got the of course NASCAR Truck Xfinity and uh Cup Series. Got Bristol Motor Speedway here. Legend Series at Iowa. We got Long Beach. So yeah, Open Wheel Series for IndyCar at Long Beach Street Circuit here as well. So that's always a good track. I enjoy that track here. You've got late model series, super late model series at New Hampshire. Interesting. The Cars late model tour at South Boston Speedway. So that's good track as well. Uh, the Gen 4 Cup at Daytona this week. You've got the Arca Menard series at Las Vegas this week. So got that on the road side. You uh, got the sports cars, Winton Motor Speedway for the MX5 Cup, BMW M2 Cup. Got WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca for the Toyota GR Cup, Ferrari GT3 Challenge at Okayama, BMW Power M Challenge at Okayama Circuit as well. Um, the supercars are at Mid Ohio Circuit this week, sports car course. You've got the production car challenge at WeatherTech Raceway this week. Um, you've got, let's see here, the sports car challenge at Algarve Circuit. You've got uh, Long Beach, so prototype challenge at Long Beach here this week, matching the IMSA schedule. Uh, IMSA pilot challenge at Algarve Circuit as well. Yeah, the Global Endurance Tour at um, Long Beach Circuit. On the road side, of course, as mentioned, got Formula Car, got the Formula 1600 at Red Scogan Motor Center, got Skip Barbers at Belle Isle, Formula C at Virginia International Raceway this week. Of course, IndyCar, Long Beach. Um, let's see, where's the Grand Prix? So I guess Grand Prix course series, which that's I think their Formula One, Formula A at Nürburgring Grand Prix Streak. So we've got that there. Classic Lotus series at Circuit Spa Francorchamps there. The Lara Formula IR series at Las Vegas there, and the Formula 4 series, the American Formula 4 series at Sonoma Raceway. So yeah, that's all the official series for iRacing right now on the table. This week in iRacing, April 8th through the 14th. Um, let's see. Yeah, the iRacing IndyCar series at Long Beach Circuit. Um, trying to see that's all the official series late model tour, wheel and modified tours, super late model tour here on iRacing. Um, yeah, the Road America 500 coming up April 25th. That might be interesting to do that. So that'll be a big sports car event there. EU Sports iRacing uh, still got the Tag Heuer Sports Cup at concluding at Le Mans, and then the NASCAR College Racing series crowns the champion this week. NASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series is back in action at Rockingham. So that'll be interesting there, which I think that might have just finished before we started tonight, but I didn't see you on that, but got that there. So yeah, iRacing season 2 here, fully underway. Um, I guess one thing I forgot to mention, they have a new feature here. Um, in season 2, adaptive AI patch, so season 2 patch 3, adaptive AI racing experience to tune to their individual preferences and desired challenge level here. So, um, go back go back to that adaptive AI story. There's definitely a interest in that I might be able to use. So it's only in single race mode, and then maybe I think in planned for hosted iRacing and then an AI season. So uh, should be interesting. Adapt AI with if you want to race offline, do some offline racing against yourself and AIs. Never really been an AI kind of guy. Kind of grew out of that, after playing the console games. But definitely this something that helps. If you don't want to race against other people, just want to race against yourself and just be around other cars and focus on your racecraft is definitely a way to help you out and get better. So yeah, glad they're making improvements to the offline content side. Try to grow their. I think it's going to help grow with them, and also probably stuff that they can take away for the NASCAR console game coming out later this year. So yeah, definitely something to look out for. Um, in coming months as they continue to develop NASCAR 25. So yeah, that's it for me this week. Of course, you can always follow at Twitch TV/ usailor2. You can go on there and watch all the streams on there. Of course, follow me Twitter JP Helfine, where uh, I of course celebrating the Florida Gators going back to the national championship. They did not back down, like I said, uh, and they went out and won that. So definitely been celebrating that. Of course, always tweeting about the racing on there as well. But there's all the other sports, and we got NFL draft coming up here in 2 weeks, so we'll have to talk about that a little bit. Maybe we'll see, but uh, got that, and then of course the uh, YouTube page at Group Share Podcast. You can go on there, listen to all our streams or watch all our streams, go on there. So, um, like our page and subscribe to that. And yeah, that's it for me this week. And of course, throwing it back a little bit with Darlington. And now we move on to Bristol. And hopefully, we can throw it back to last year and get a volatile race like we did last year. But that was probably a once in a lifetime deal. But we'll see how that goes. And of course, Long Beach and uh, Bahrain. So a lot of great day for racing uh, this weekend here for F1, NASCAR, and IndyCar.
Yeah, plenty of stuff to watch this weekend in the world of motorsports. Uh, Numerous series all on tap. So whether you are listening to us here in the States or listening to us abroad, plenty of options for sure. Not just the three major series that we cover on here, but also other major series that are covered within the roundup or in sim on iRacing, then whatever, and other uh, simulators and games that are going on there. You can find me at PG Matthew 28 on Twitter, PGMGSP 28 on Instagram, Blue Sky, GSP 1428 on YouTube, where you can find the Gripstrip podcast audio feeds. Also at philipgmatthew.com, you can find them. And then, as Josh mentioned, the Gripstrip podcast YouTube page. We have the at Gripstrip Pod Twitter handle as well. So, yes, we will be back next week, episode 264 of the Grip Strip podcast, to recap all three races at Bristol, Long Beach, IndyCar, Bahrain, Formula One, Bahrain, and then everything else that goes on in the roundup and the Masters, whoever goes out there and is able to get the green jacket on Sunday, and anything else that comes up. I mean, it's true, we are getting close to the draft, so we might start giving that a look more here in the next week or two. Heading to Green Bay for the draft for the first time ever, so that'll be interesting. But as always, for Josh, thank you for all your insights and prognostications, and of course, handling the back end here for the show and also on the YouTube page. And for being a brother and doing this thing, 260 something episodes, it's crazy to think. And we'll keep on going with it. For Josh, I'm Phil, and we will see you next time on the Rip Strip Podcast.